Welcome to the highlights reel for StraightTalk. It's a brand new show where the panellists are unashamedly and unapologetically social conservatives. On StraightTalk, we discuss social issues that matter, without constraint, without compromise, and without government funding dictating to us what we should or shouldn't say. Our panel is Ashley Church, Christine Rankin, Ronji Tanielu, Alfred Nato, and Bruce Logan, all well-known names in the social conservative world. Here's a clip from our first show. It's a discussion amongst the panel regarding the Leader of the Opposition, Christopher Luxon, and his performance thus far as we head towards the general election in October. Let me just show you, just to show that we're very even balanced on Straight Talk. Let me show you, it's slide 39 of the cartoon that was put up by Tremaine for this one. It's entitled Asleep at the Wheel. And it's the cop talking to Luxon saying, you've had your licence for 15 months now, either get moving or give someone else a go. And I think that is probably quite a good summation. So, Ronji, let's start with you. Who do you think is do you think that Luxon is a Prime Minister in waiting?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I think he'll stick around for the election. I don't really see any other big players in the National Party coming out strong in terms of leadership. I think it's National's election to lose, to be honest. They're in a good position, regardless of some of the weather events and some of the bit of an upsurge for Labour recently. But I guess the more that they're quiet, I mean, they're just starting to come out with a bit more policy, a bit more good news stuff, a bit more things to try and differentiate themselves from Labour. And I think that's good. But again, it's just not enough. And I guess when I look at the National Party, and look, I don't really care about left or right. When I look at some of the stuff, it's all pretty bad in my view. But when I look at the National Party, I wonder if some of the more social conservatives, the more are being actually frozen out of the party. You're seeing a very left-leaning liberal part of the party. I like what Ashley said. It's almost like Labour Part 2. And so I think there's no real clear alternative that socially and morally conservative voters can actually look at and think, well, actually, they speak for me. I don't think National is doing that enough. They're speaking for us who have these views. Okay.
Ashley, do you think he's ready to go?
Oh, look, 4 weeks ago, whenever Ardern resigned, all he had to do was hold his nose and he could basically have slept at the wheel and he was going to win. There was no question because Labour was losing the election. National didn't have to win it. That all changed with the change of leadership. With Hipkins, we've got a completely different approach. We've got a much more centrist politician, at least in appearance, if not in ideological reality. So the effect of that is going to be that unless Luxon starts putting some lines in the sand and some traditional issues, the sorts of things that Kiwis associate with the National Party, he's got to stop listening to Bishop. He's got to stop listening to Willis. He's got to start listening to his own conscience. If he doesn't do that, there is a very good chance that we're not going to see a change of government at the end of the year.
I guess commentators are saying that he won't make it as leader to the election. Alfred, I know you probably want to be careful about what you say here, but I mean, you've seen what's happened to the National Party and you lived through the experience of the leadership changing on a regular basis. We don't want to be like the Australian Labor Party where the leader was changing virtually every second month, do we? So national MPs are not going to vote to say we need another leader, are they? No matter what.
Yeah, look, I mean, the truth is that the public, the things they hate most is uncertainty. And when they can smell that a political party is uncertain of the values that they have, the vision that they're trying to articulate, but more importantly, the leadership that should take them in that right direction, they end up voting with their feet. Look, we've seen it, and you don't need to go to Australia Labor Party. Just think about where Labor was, some years ago, where they had 5 leaders almost in 5 years. And so, again, the polls and the vote and the public voted, accordingly. Look, and I think is the same thing too. Look, I think that they'll stay with him as much as possible because, again, you want to show stability. You want to show that he can. Can he do it? Well, yeah, anything's possible. And I agree with the comments. I think Ashley's right that they've now got to start to come out with some strong policy that differentiates them from the other parties.
Okay, and just finally, Bruce, actually, let me just show you the voting record. It's slide 38, Gordon. So this is the voting record when you compare Chris Hipkins and Carmel Sepuloni with Chris Luxon and the deputy, which is Nicola Willis. You'll see that there's very little difference in some of the social, moral issues between Nicola Willis and the two Labour leaders. Chris Luxon well, he says he's anti-abortion, anti-euthanasia, but he's also said that any discussion around the current extreme abortion bill is totally off the option. So I did see one of the just a comment that came through here from Charmaine Hard, and she said the small parties may get a lot of support this time, and Sue Reid said that the conservative voice of National has been gouged. Bruce, do you think that's correct? Are we basically looking at two parties that are basically on the same side of the political ideology?
Yes, we are, and it's true. The Conservative Party, the Conservative voice of the National Party has been gouged. It's been going on for some time, but it's not peculiar to New Zealand. It seems to be a worldwide trend. You look at the Liberals in Australia, the Tories in England. There's a loss of what we might call the politics of conviction, and conservatism, like indeed the more left-wing parties, need a politics of conviction, and we don't seem to have, certainly in Christopher Luxon, a politician of conviction, which is so necessary if the conservative voice is going to make any headway in the kind of culture we've got now. You've got to have, plenty of guts, really. You've got to be convinced what you're saying and get on with it. And I haven't seen that happening. At all.
Okay, Ashley, I did see that hand raised. I'll come to you in a sec, but I just want to welcome back Christine. Lovely to have you back again. Technical difficulties in Taupo.
I have no idea what happened. I'm sorry.
Christine, just a quick comment though. Is Chris Luxon the answer?
I'm worried. I'm not at all sure. He's great when you meet him in person, but for some reason he's just not connecting by any other medium. And there's a real question mark for me. I love the Three Waters policy. I think it's absolutely perfect, and that was a great start, but there's something not quite right. I like Erica Stanford. I think it's time they did something really brave and went for it. I'm not sure it's going to work the way it is. Okay,
Ashley, what did you want to add?
Oh, just picking up on Bruce's comment about people looking to vote for smaller parties because they're dissatisfied. The problem with that, the risk in that, of course, is because there's so many of them. There's a proliferation of these small parties in the country at the moment. The risk for us is that none of them get in because none of them's going to get over 5%. But between them, they get 4 or 5 or 6% of the vote or 7% of the vote. And that 6 or 7% is the difference between having an ACT national coalition and keeping with the current government. So there's a real risk right now that if we vote for those smaller parties in this election, we're going to get exactly the opposite of the result that we want.
Straight Talk will return on the 27th of March, Monday nights at 8 p.m. You can watch on our website, familyfirst.nz, or on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. Join the conservative conversation every Monday night at 8 p.m, back on the 27th.